Welcome to Punching In, Hard Knocks and Highlights, the podcast about finding new opportunities, overcoming life's toughest challenges, and celebrating the wins along the way. I'm Wade Odum, an accomplished sales, business, and entrepreneurial professional. But not only am I a professional in the boardroom, I'm also a family man, musician, and athlete. Join me as I share my journey to land the next dream job while helping you chase yours down too. Let's punch in and get started. Welcome to the next show of Punching In, Hard Knocks and Highlights. This guest we have today is one of my favorites, and you'll understand why here shortly. She is a business support professional at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus for the Department of Surgery, Urology and Vascular. She is a project manager for the GD Project, a grassroots community organization dedicated to improving the health and well-being of Black communities in Colorado. She is a second-year graduate student at the Colorado School of Public Health with concentration in population mental health and well-being. She sits on the Young Professionals Ambassadors Board at WorldDenver, which is a nonprofit organization that fosters global understanding through programs connecting Denver with worldwide experts and leaders. She is a proud member of the Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated, the very first Greek-lettered business sorority established by African-American women. She is a longtime member of OrangeTheory Fitness and more recently joined the Black Girls Run Club. This summer, she was also sponsored by the world-renowned Runner's World magazine to run the New York City Marathon, which she recently completed just a few days ago on November 2nd. Above all else, she is a believer in Christ, a dedicated wife, and mother of 4. With that, I get to introduce you to my friend and wife, Conoshia Odum.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I'm so glad to finally be a guest on your show.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, we've been threatening to get this done for a while, so I'm glad we could pull it off. And it's on the heels of a pretty big accomplishment, the New York City Marathon. I was a spectator, but we're going to get into all of that here in a little bit. As you know, the premise and the reason I'm doing this show is to kind of highlight that I need a job. I am also highlighting my skills and the circle of influence that I have that allows me to not just be another resume, but someone who is very well-rounded, can talk about a host of different topics, and that I can bring my own influence through the circle of people that I know. And with that, I call her Coco, and all of her friends call her Coco. Conoshia is her government name, so we're going to call her Coco today because it's just weird calling her Conoshia. But she brings a tremendously vast experience with HR, with hiring. She is constantly branching out in what she does in the professional field for her position. She started out simply being an admin, but she is really good at what she does and continuously gets more and more publicity within the organization, but also gets more roles that she can put on her resume. And most recently, she has been doing a lot of HR work, from screening resumes, actually doing interviews, suggesting hiring processes, and then obviously once a person's hired, she takes them through the entire process. So with that, what I would like you to do, Coco, is first kind of explain what a day in the life of what you look like, starting with your position. And we're going to branch out into what that looks like for the hiring process so that anybody else watching this show can kind of get a grasp on what is needed if they're trying to get into the healthcare or medical field. So just kind of tell me what it looks like on, Monday through Friday. What's it look like for you?
First, let me say, starting out in the administrative role and all the different industries that I've played this role in. From retail to law, even to accounting firms, to the healthcare industry. I've been an administrative professional in all those spaces. And I have to commend all those in the administrative field, because you really get a chance to put your hands into pretty much everything. And that's what I've done for the past 25 years. And it has really, being in that role has really paved the way for bigger roles. And I hate to even say bigger roles because administrative folks, those admins, they are those who carry the organizations in the background. People see everything that's going on, up front, but the hard, heavy lifting is in the background, and that's where those admins are. So I just wanted to shout out to those admins out there. Your role, it may not be a leadership role, it may not be, but it is a very powerful and very needed role, because without those admins, it's no way that those organizations will be able to run. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, I also know that, I've been in sales for 25 years as well. And when I am approaching a new company, oftentimes the first person I want to talk to before I even see the CEO is the admin. Because they know what's going on. I mean, they know what the heart and soul of that business is. They know what the aches and the pains are, which is what a salesperson wants. They want to know what sucks about the organization, so that they can go in, and when they eventually do get in touch with the CEO, they can say, well, Cheryl told me that you were having this and this and this problem. How's that helping or hurting your business? So the admin is an extremely important role, because they always have their finger on the pulse of what's making that business tick. So I totally agree. Totally agree.
Exactly. And then in that, and saying all that to say, the admins really have their hands in a lot. So they're typically doing things that aren't necessarily in their job description, but they're doing it because it's the call of duty. It needs to be done. So they're the ones that's typically doing all the things in the background. And that's how I got into more of a human resources role, is that I was already doing it, I was doing the interviews, I was filtering through resumes, I was, setting up the phone screenings and all the things that go into the hiring process. But I wasn't considered HR. I was still administrative 3. So what does that look like? That looks like you going to your manager and say, hey, I absolutely love this part of what I do. I love the people aspect of it. I love the HR. How can I do more? What does that look like for me in the HR aspect? And so when you have these conversations with your leaders, they then say, she's interested in doing more. And so
he's motivated. Yeah.
Doing more also opens the door for you to put that on your resume, and then also be considered for these particular roles as they come up. So you may not be getting paid at the moment to do these things as asked of you, but I always tell people, do it, because it's not hurting you, it's helping you. Because this is just an additional skill that you can add to your amazing resume. And it opens the opportunity for you to do more in a different role, if that's what you see fit for yourself. So that's how I got into it, is really having the conversations with my leadership team and saying, I want to do more HR. And then guess what happened? My leadership said, oh, there's this certification for human resources coming up. I'm going to recommend Conoshia because she's doing the work. She's showing interest in doing more. I'm going to put her name in the hat, because you have to be recommended for these things. And it comes from higher up. It comes from those that are in the meeting spaces at the table where you're not. And they are speaking on your behalf. So that's what I got out of that whole thing, is to really just do it, even if you're not getting paid to do it at the time, because your name is going to be mentioned in those spaces where it matters. And that's why I'm sitting in this cohort now to get my certification in human resources. So,
right. So advice to anybody who may be watching, if you're in a role where they say, I'm just this or just that, no, don't limit yourself. If there's other areas that you can feel like you can expand, just like Coco said, speak up.
Yeah.
You could put your career on a completely different trajectory by just vocalizing what you're looking for. Don't just sit back and just bang out emails and answer the telephone. Get after it. You can go basically seize the day and make something out of something that may not have been if you just stayed quiet. So hats off to you, Coco, I've seen you do it. I'm talking to you professionally here, but guys, I've lived with this woman for 20 years now, and I've seen her come up and up and up, and she's still rising. Part of the reason I wanted her on the show, and we'll continue to get into this, but one of the things that initially made me interested in her at all when we were dating was her work ethic. Yes, she's got a whole lot of other great things, but the one thing that always stood out to me was her work ethic. And I have been privileged enough to watch that work ethic blossom into some really, really cool things. So tell me like you said, recently you've been doing more HR. So what does the process look like? First of all, how do you put your job descriptions together? And then how do you get the pool of resumes? So those first two questions, and then I'm going to continue going down that rabbit trail of what the process looks like. But first, job description, and how do you screen resumes?
So we reach out to, before we even put a job posting up, we reach out to the hiring manager of each of these positions. And we want to know one thing: what are you looking for? What level is this position? So it's always about what level are we hiring for, and what are you looking for in this role? What is this person, your top candidate? What does that look like for you? So we meet with them one-on-one and we have these conversations. Then we do a lot of background work with the internal, the HR, and then we put together the job description based on the hiring manager, what this previous role may have looked like. They may add things in, they may take things out, depending on how they've seen this role work in the past. So that's typically how the job description works. And then, of course, we post it within our boards within the organization.
What boards do you use? Because there's all kinds of jobs boards. You got Indeed, you got Ladders, you've got LinkedIn, Monster, ZipRecruiter. That's just some of the ones that I hunt on. Now, for your specific jobs, do you use any external, or are they all internal job boards?
It is all internal within the organization. So, okay. And then it filters out. So you know how it is. It's different. It hit, I want this to be on Indeed. I want this to be here or there. So we post it internally, but it can then feed to all those different job boards.
So you're linked. So you post it to one place, but it sounds like the software you use kind of disseminates the information out to your chosen job boards. Does that sound
It's like when
accurate?
You post on Instagram, you can click that you also want this to go to Facebook.
Right.
So it's always, there's always integrated software. And so we work.
Okay. Perfect.
So then there's that.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say, so once you get the job description out and you start receiving all of the tons of resumes, because everybody knows that when you have a good job posting, good people are going to be applying in droves. So once you start getting resumes, what does your screening process look like?
So we have a matrix in place. And this matrix is just it's like a huge spreadsheet. And it's like a checklist of everything we need. It's kind of a process of elimination type thing. And when you get in this plethora of resumes, and it really helps to streamline the process to where we can do the process of elimination in an efficient way. So for instance, you'll say, we pull up CVs, resumes, and we can see exactly if the person, first of all, has turned in everything. Do they have a cover letter? Do they have references? Did they check off on, and we check the box? Yes, they have all their application materials. So application materials is very key. So if you're applying for a job and they're saying specifically, we want a cover letter, we want your references, those things, it is very important to make sure that you have your application materials sent in all at once with your CV, because we are checking to make sure that we have, because we check yes or no. Is no, oh, they maybe left one thing out. Oh, they have this, but it's either yes or no. Do they have all of the materials or do they not? And that right there could eliminate you from the pool immediately.
It's the little things, guys.
The little things.
Guys and girls who are listening to this, pay attention. Read the directions. It's like going back to third grade. Write your name at the top of the page. You get an F if you don't, right? So look down the checklist of every job posting and say, well, what are they asking of me? And don't leave it out and put it in order. It just comes down to common sense. And a lot of people who may be extremely qualified get put into the trash because they left out a very small detail.
Very small details. And I see it a lot.
Right.
I see it a lot. And then so after that, so we just go through the checklist and see that they meet the minimum qualifications. And when you're applying for make sure you meet, because if you don't meet the minimum qualifications, we're not even going to go forward to the preferred. You have to meet, and we have to see it within your CV resume. We have to see those min quals. So just make sure when you're looking at these job descriptions that that's reflected in your resume. We don't have time to play guessing games or to assume that you know how to do Microsoft Office. Right. We need to see this in your resume that this is that you meet the minimum qualifications. So that's important as well. So because we definitely look at that. And so we just go across, and then so there's a number at the end. How many check marks do we have that this person, and there's a number at the very end of that spreadsheet. We then look at that number and see, and we pick those ones with the highest numbers that met across the board.
So let me ask you this. I ask this to almost every guest I have on who is in a hiring position or screening position. AI is a massive tool these days. We all know ChatGPT is taking over, quote unquote. Eventually we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But right now we use it. We're just scratching the surface. But a lot of people use it to screen resumes. I'm curious, how does your operation use AI to screen the resumes, or do they at all?
I haven't seen the use of AI. And that's the great thing about what I do as well. You're dealing with people,
right?
Every single day. When people take the time it takes time to fill out an application. I know, but it takes time. And people are literally taking time to fill out this application and make sure they have all their materials in. Least we can do is take the time to review it.
Yeah.
And we definitely do that. I mean, because I'm doing it. So I can tell you for sure that I go into our database and I pull every single CV, every single application that came through, and I download them all. And I go through each and every one of them with the matrix pulled up. And each one get my same attention. Okay. So
it's very admirable, because a lot of companies don't do that. So again, great work. You're right. I'm filling out applications daily.
No.
Sometimes it'll take an hour and a half just for one application. And I'm doing 15, 20 a day, right? So that does take time. And it is a slap in the face when you never get a call back. And it's probably because they're using AI and it wasn't a perfect fit. Yeah. All right. So that's amazing that you guys actually take the time to do that. So once you go through and you get your stack of certified or qualified candidates, what does your process look like then, as far as questions or calling and contacting them? What does that look like?
So we typically, after we do the matrix and we pull the folks that met all the, across the board, we then send those to the hiring manager. or, in my case, these providers is seeing patients. The reason why we do all the heavy work on the background and filter these through, because they really don't have time to go through that whole process. So what we do is we send them quality. We send them, so we don't say, hey, here's all 100 applications that came. We say, we filter through, we followed the matrix, and here's the quality applications that we have. Look through, and we send the CVs, and we say, take a look at these and let us know which of these you want to move forward for interviews. And then they do that, and then they let us know, okay, these are the ones you can offer or request interviews for. And we do.
Okay. So how many resumes, just, I guess, do the most recent job you posted? Because I know you post a lot of jobs. So number one, tell me what the position was, and then how many resumes you got, and then how many make it to the actual interview for the first shot at even seeing the hiring manager. So what does that look like?
Give specifics because, it's a lot that goes into it. So I won't give specific roles and things like that just to play it safe. But I will say that it really depends on the position of how many applications we get. I've seen us barely get 4, and I've seen us get over 100. So it really just depends on the job market, the position itself, So it's a lot of factors. So it just varies. That part of it does vary, as I have seen.
That's right. I assume, if you're having a neurosurgeon that you're putting the job out for, you're not going to get 100 neurosurgeons.
Right.
There's just not that many out there. So yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So it just really just depends on the position. And then we just go through the process, and we actually have, as we're going through the process of scheduling phone screenings and then first round interviews, second round interviews. We even do, like with the top candidates, we'll do like campus visits just to see like how they, we don't want to just make sure that we like them. We want to make sure that they like us, because if they don't like us or they don't think this is a good fit, then everybody is really just wasting their time. So just because you apply for a job, you can apply for a job and think it's a good fit, and then you come to the organization and you learn more, and so we always like to do that with the top candidates, because we're really just getting to know each other. This is not a one-sided thing. Whenever you are applying for a position, we want to make sure that the likeness goes both ways, and it also
I always say
as well.
That's perfect. 'Cause I always say that the candidate is interviewing the hiring manager just as much as the hiring manager is interviewing the candidate, because, and I've said it, my most recent role, I didn't interview the hiring manager well enough, and I paid for it, right? It ended up not being a good fit. Ultimately, a lot of great things happened, but it is like Coco said, it's a two-way street. You can't walk into a new role and it not be a mutually beneficial relationship, right? You don't want it to, like you said, you don't want it to be one-sided. So how many interviews does a candidate go through in your organization?
The most I've seen has been like a 4th round interview. And again, these are for positions that are, they're ranked higher up, those require more. You have to meet with more people. You have to often meet with a panel of different people, because you're not just going to work with one team. You're going to work with the entire department, and a lot of time cross training and all that. So some of those I've seen, and some I've seen 2 rounds, first round and then a final, so it just, again, goes back to just really depends on that particular position and the level of that position.
Have you ever seen a higher level position where the organization just fell in love with them and they just cut it short and said, nope, we got the right guy, let's keep it moving? Has that ever happened? Or is it always by the book? If it's a 4-sequence interview process, we're sticking to the book? Or has somebody been like, yep, that's my guy? Has that ever happened?
What I've noticed here in Colorado, we have some really good talent, and it is not always easy to say, oh, that because it's always close and it's because the talent is here. We have some
Good.
amazing talent here. And so, yeah, I don't really see it ever going that way. It's always, okay, it's going to get down to this fight. It's going to be tough. The decision is usually tough because of how much talent we have.
Well, that's a good problem to have, you know, and that's also good for anybody who is going to Children's Hospital or to the hospital that she's associated with. That means you're getting good physicians. That means you're getting people who are fantastic to look after your health. And that's what you want. You don't want just, hey, this is my guy. Okay, so though it might work for a salesperson, I'm not saving lives. These guys are, so
Yeah.
I respect the fact that you stick to the process. That's really
Well,
nice.
we
That's
we
great.
have to, because we do this at the end of it all. Once we even, we have our person, they've been hired. We do what is called, and we have to do it. It's a summary. It is a search summary. And in this search summary, we have to see how many people initially applied, how many people moved on to interviews, how many people dropped out, how many of these, so it's very, if we ever get audited for any, they want to see the search summary because they want to make sure that this was a fair process. And so we definitely make sure we do this by the book. We make sure, because we want to make sure we get the right person. We want to make sure that we're not going to just get the right person, but we're going to get a person that stays. Because turnover and all of that it's a thing with a lot of companies. So we really do take our time and go by the book with these processes to ensure, that we are getting good people and it's going to stay here for the long haul.
Well, all of this has been very informative. So anybody who's trying to get into the healthcare industry or looking for a role, I'm going to put all the ways to get in touch with Coco in the bio of this description. If you're looking, they're always hiring for something, and she would be more than happy to offer the information that you may need to move to the next step. But moving on in the conversation, in the introduction for Coco, there was like 100 things she's doing. So she's got her job, which there's two main things I wanted to touch on, which keep to the point of this show, which is HR stuff, hiring process. If somebody's watching, they could have help and new knowledge about how a process works within any given industry. But then also how your outside life and the things that you've done in your life transcend into the professional world. So, going back to everything that she does, she's obviously a senior admin. She's also in Iota Phi Lambda, the first African-American Greek lettered sorority. She's in all of these different things. So doing that, I guess, tell me how you juggle it all. I mean, I get to see you do it quite often, and I'm going to add my own 2 cents in. But how, in your mind, do you juggle it all and still stay top of your game?
It's all about, I'm a very organized person, this way. Like, I really can't live my life without some structure, and I think for me, like growing up, it wasn't a lot of structure there. So for me, it's important, like as an adult, because I have control over it now, that things be structured. So I've built my life and foundation on structure to begin with. So the things that I decide to give my time to, first of all, if I'm giving my time to it, that means it's giving me some type of value. Time for me is worth more than any amount of money you could ever give me, because unlike money, time, once it's even 1 minute has passed, you would never get it back. So I'm very careful about what I dedicate my time to for that reason. So if I'm doing it, just know it's the rhyme or reason to it, and I'm getting some type of value out of it. I just stay structured. I value my relationships. Because I feel as though I've gotten these things and I've gotten to do so much in my life because of who I am as a person and how I value friendships and relationships. Because you can't do anything by yourself. It always take mentors, somebody that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And you just really nurturing those relationships as you go on your journey of life. And it's easy for me to manage it all because I'm putting that in the forefront of my mind. It's like, I value this relationship. I value what I'm doing. I'm getting value from this organization. It's catering to my soul. So I'm going to make time for it. And here's how I'm going to make time for it, and just structuring it. And it also helps to have somebody in your life, like I have, like UA, that steps in and do the things that I can't do. And so it just helps to have some help. And I honestly couldn't do it without you. I do a lot, and I would not be able to do any of those things if I didn't have you by my side, just really supporting the things that I do and also taking care of the home front while I'm out doing it. So I appreciate you. Kudos to you for being an amazing husband, because
You're going to make me blush. You're going to
no,
make me blush.
it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. People are like, oh, how do you do it? How do you do it all? And the first thing I say is, I married well. I have a partner. I don't just have a husband. I have somebody that's literally just a teammate and a really good one.
Thank you.
So,
Well, that everybody that I ask who carries on a high quality or high performing life, like for example, Mike Patterson, he was on a couple of shows ago. He's a VP at a lot of data. I asked the same question. You're traveling all the time. You're on, 10 to 13 calls a day. How do you manage it? And he came back to the people at home. He mentioned his wife that, if it weren't for her and the people around him to help him be able to do all of those things, it'd be impossible. So the takeaway from that, viewers, is surround yourself with people who support you and love you and care for you and that add value to you, right? So if you pick your team wisely, I should say, right? So if you don't have somebody or a group of somebodies, and it doesn't have to be a wife or a husband,
right.
Friends are fantastic, brothers and sisters, parents, pick your team wisely, because if you want to be a high performer, you can't do it by yourself
At all.
You can't. So that's fantastic, Coco. I'm super proud of you. And now I want to get into kind of the other facet of why I do this show. There's always 4 things that I structured the show around, and it's the 4 loves of my life: MMA fighting, football, music, and my family. And we'll say athletics for Coco's sake. So I get to get 2 of those knocked out: family, this is my girl, and athletics. So I want everybody to know that it's great to have a great wife and to have a great teammate. Things just don't work unless you work together. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm deep family, and so is Coco. But where the rubber meets the road with the context of this show, I always ask at the end, and it may go a little long. And if this needs to be broken up into 2 segments, that's fine. I know she's got things to do, so I can't keep her all day. But I always try to bring in my life, when I did MMA or football, there is so much discipline that goes into a sport if you want to be a high achiever. And I did. I was 1 injury away from having a professional fighting career. I was 1 injury away from potentially going to the NFL, tore my hamstring. But the discipline that I gained from doing those things, the workouts, the grueling days, early mornings, late at night, the blood, sweat, and tears, that transcends into the professional world. Now, I had the privilege of watching this woman train for 14 weeks, for the New York City Marathon. I didn't run with her, but I was up early with her. I was dropping her off. I was picking her up. So what I want you to do, Coco, is I've always said your work ethic is what is one of the things that has always attracted me to you. And what I want you to do is walk the audience through the past 14 weeks. You know, the trouble, the grit, the grind. I've always said in any show you've heard me say, you have to fall in love with the process. You have to fall in love with the grind. Because if you do that, when it's game day, if you work hard to lead up to game day's fun. You get to go eat people for lunch. So tell me about the grind. I want to know what it was like, and then how you transcend the things that you learned from being a top level athlete to take into the business world. The floor is yours. Oh, you got to show off the hardware. Show off the hardware. This is her medal. It's like an Olympic medal, y'all. Man, so proud of her for achieving that. So anyway, what do you got? So tell me about the grind.
So before I even started running, first of all, I've never seen myself as an athlete. So hearing you say athlete is crazy because I never played.
She is a top level athlete, y'all.
Well, I never played sports in high school, anything. You know, I just recently started running, late 30s, so that's just cool to hear you say athlete. So I was pointing that out. But before I even started running, I had a foundation of my grit and just, I've always said that whatever my name is attached to, it's got to be great. If someone asks me to do something and I say yes to it, I've said yes to 100%, not 50, not 99, but I said yes to 100 because if I knew I couldn't give 100 to it, I said no. So I've always just been like that, a people pleaser and also pleasing myself. I want to walk away knowing that I did great. So just setting the foundation is that's what I've always, as a person, stood on. Is that if I say I'm going to do it, I'm not just going to do it, but I'm going to do it very well. So I've applied that with every single position I've had in every industry I've been in. And that's how I've been able to do great, because that's my priority, is to do great. So I started at OrangeTheory. So OrangeTheory really did help me build up the endurance to run long distance when I didn't even know that was happening. Everybody said, OrangeTheory is so much cardio, and it is. But when you're doing it, you're having fun. You have a little coach, that's leading the class, and you're going 5 days a week, as I was, and you're just showing up to something that not only it makes you feel good internally, but you also see the results of that physically. Right. So I was seeing the results in how I looked. I was seeing the results in how I felt. And that is what made me stay consistent with it, because I wanted to keep feeling like that. I wanted to keep looking like this. And so whenever you find something that you are just proud of, you want to hold on to that feeling. And so that has just been my motivational factor, just because I want to keep feeling like this. And so going into that and saying, okay, once the way the human body works is when you tell it to do something and your mind say you can do it, the body is just going to do it. And then when you see yourself doing it, you just want to do more. You just want to do more. What else can I do? I'm so proud of just how I did that. What else can I do? But the sky's the limit. So you really start having this level of confidence out of nowhere where you think you can really do anything. That one achievement leads to several because of that. Because you're constantly want to feel that feeling of achievement. Because if I did this, I could do this. And if I did this, I could do that. So that's how I got into running. I was doing so well at OrangeTheory, even possibly thinking about coaching there. And then I just started running. It was a lot of mental health things to overcome for my mental health after having a baby, late age, like almost 40, and then being able to run to combat, my mental health things that were going on rather than going the medicine approach. Yeah.
Well, we continue on, but I wanted to kind of put a pin in the mental health aspect of staying active. Continue to talk about the regiment to get you prepared for this race that we just did. I was there. I didn't do it, but we were there. But on preparing to get you to Sunday, what did your weeks look like as far as mileage you ran, the preparation that you had to take, nutrition? You know, a lot goes into what she did, and I don't want to leave it shortchanged. It deserves some space here. So tell me about your regimen.
Yeah, and that was gonna definitely be. I just had to set the foundation up to where it all started, and then to go into when I got the call from Runner's World magazine, or the email rather, that they wanted me to run the New York City Marathon. Me have never even done a half marathon. Immediately, I started doing research of what does it take to be able to successfully complete a marathon. So I'm all about research. Let me find out as much as I can. Let me go on every website. Let me follow all the people that I need to follow that has done a marathon before. And so in doing that, I found out, your nutrition has to be on point. You have to fuel your body like you fuel your car. You have to get the right amount of sleep. You have to train. And by the way, Runner's World has a training program for beginners marathon. So I printed that out and immediately started training based on their timeline of runs throughout the week. So I had Mondays off and I would do short runs. And when I say short runs, I'm talking 3, 5, 6, short runs throughout the week. And then Sunday, my long run. That's when it's 8 miles, 10 miles, 12, 14. And it's really just helping you to build up an endurance to run 26.2 eventually. You had 2 days off, and off Fridays and Mondays were the days that I had off. But every other day, I was either running in my neighborhood according to that training plan or running in a park when the distances got long so that I could follow a trail. So, and then cutting out alcohol, cutting out, the bad carbs, eating more protein, strength training, just to make sure I had the muscles support to do the run, because it's not just about cardio. You also have to be strong so that your body can support all the running you're doing. So I just did the research and I just learned just what all it takes to prepare for a marathon. And I didn't know going into it, just all the things you needed and how expensive it can get, and all the things like the supplements and the electrolyte type, the salt tablets, the gels, the right shoes even. And running shoes is expensive. So it's not just a hobby you just do and think. No, it's a lot that goes into it. But if you like me and you're somebody that absolutely loves running and love the way it makes you feel, then it's no expenses, too high. So you just look at it like, I just get it, But yeah, it's a lot that went into it. I did the training in Colorado in high altitude. I think the highest altitude or elevation that I trained in was about 5,580 feet above sea level. And so to run in New York City at 33 feet above sea level, I was just like breezing through. So I didn't have an advantage. Not saying that it wasn't hard, because it was still hard, but I think that it was easier for somebody who was training in Colorado to go run 26.2 miles in New York. It was easier than all the training that I've done here.
Well, she's not lying. She trained her behind off.
And even hurt my knee. There's 2 stories. Hurt my knee. Had to go to physical therapy 2 weeks before the run, thinking like, am I really going to be able to do the run? Just going and getting the therapy I needed so that I could be right for this. It was so many elements that went into it of things that could possibly defeat me, but I refused. I'd made it too far to stop now. So I was going to make sure I did this race no matter what. I was going to do it.
So you not letting it defeat you. I want to get into that, because that's one of the things that has been most remarkable about watching her get ready for this race is the drive to say, the heck with this. This is not beating me. I'm gonna beat it. So there's 3 instances that I want you to elaborate on where you had to really overcome. One, tell me about the story when you didn't have enough gels, but you had to run 18 miles the next day. How that setback actually set you up for success in New York. The second one is when you realized that your shoes were too small, and what did that do to your feet? And then third, your knee issue and how you overcame it. So those 3 things.
So the first thing, when I ran out of gels, it was just me learning like to check my inventory the night before a long run. I thought I had enough. Turns out late that night as I was setting things out, I realized I didn't. And this, for me, I didn't say, oh, I'm not going to run because I don't have the gels. I'm just going to change how I do it. So instead of every 3 miles, I'll do every 6 miles. I'll be fine. So this is me saying, I'm going to just readjust. I'm still doing these miles, but in a different way. I'll be fine. And I also, in that same, run, I, at this point, was so tired of going to the same running trail. I was over it at this point, and I was like, I need something else. So I didn't.
New scenery.
New scenery. I decided that I was going to do this run with not enough gels, first of all, but also I was going to run up Quincy, which I don't know what y'all know about Quincy in Aurora. Quincy is very long and it's very steep. Okay. This is something you don't realize in your car. You're driving it. You're not focused on the hills. But when you're using your legs to navigate and to go through you then I realized very quickly that I made a true mistake. At the time, it was a mistake, but it ended up working out later. I realized, no wonder I'm the only one out here running up this street, because everybody else is smarter than me to know that this hill is steep. So I'm running up, and I'm not power walking up these hills, y'all. I am literally like running. I'm slower than I am on flat land, but I'm still running, and I get to like mile, what was it? 13.
14.
I get 13 and a half. So half marathon. And I'm completely done. The gels every 6 miles just ran out of gas. It just wasn't. I needed every 3. It was nowhere. I ran out of gas. I completely ran out, and I called Wade to come get me at the corner of Quincy and Chambers. Come get me.
She was like, Wade, I'm at the corner of Quincy and Chambers. I'm at the Valero. I need food. Come get me. So
seriously,
I made her some toast.
As determined as I am, I knew I couldn't go anymore. And I felt defeated. Don't get me. I felt defeated until I redid that run. And
she was mad all week.
I couldn't stop thinking about it. I failed.
She was mad all week.
But I'm telling you, like going up doing that though, that challenging day, I get to New York and everybody are talking about, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge is a hill. Those were not hills to me because I had endured more steep hills here. And so that wasn't a big deal to me. And so those hills, it was a crazy day and I didn't finish my run, but it really prepared me for success. It set me up for success. So just think about that. I thought I failed that day. I was like, I definitely failed because I didn't get to the 18 miles that day. I only did 13 and a half. But then I did 26.2 miles breezy, and the hills were nothing to me.
Right.
Ended in success. So that's why you think fail forward. You think you're failing, but you're really going through the hard stuff for what's ahead of you to be easier. So
embrace the process.
Yep. That's what I got out of that whole experience. Woo! And then the shoe incident.
Oh yeah.
We'll try to do the same 18 miles. my feet stiffened up. My knee started hurting at mile 9. And I'm like, what's going on? I already got defeated from this same 18 miles. I have to finish. So I ended up finishing with my feet just tense, my right foot and my right knee just in pain. I was literally limping after. This is 2 weeks before the marathon. So I immediately assessed it. It was like my shoes, they need to be a size bigger. So I switched back to a different pair of shoes I had that's actually a whole size bigger rather than a half. And I ran in those and it felt better. And I ended up going to physical therapy about my knee. So just me saying, even then, I'm still going to do this marathon, no matter what. Yes, my knee is hurting, my foot hurt, but I'm still going to run this. I'm just going to figure out a way to ease this knee pain. I'm going to switch shoes. So you don't get defeated by your circumstances. You find a way to navigate it in spite of. And you will then see that those challenges, those things that you faced along the way, those things, it was never meant to defeat you. It was meant to prepare you. It was meant to prepare you for you to step back and say, here's what I did you different. And you can still do it. So don't quit. Just step back, reassess, reevaluate, and then go forward again. But don't let anything stop you from doing something that you know you can do. Don't let it, because there will be obstacles, storms. There will be things that you're like, is it really meant for me to do this? Because I even said that, like, Lord, like with this knee, am I really going to, And I successfully finished that marathon this past Sunday because I refused to quit on me.
Yeah, she was the epitome of determination. We'll break for a second. I'm going to show you the clip when she was crossing the finish line, when she was blowing kisses to the crowd. Coco! But I can tell you from my position, it was a very emotional moment seeing her cross right in front of me in a nationally televised and just a huge platform, knowing how hard she had trained, the obstacles that she's been through. Watching her cross that line was, it got me in my feelings a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I was super, super, super proud of her. So like she said, the point is don't give up. So in closing, Coco, how do you feel that this experience and, you're running in general, how does that transcend in the professional world about not giving up, having grit, and just having the wherewithal to overcome everything whenever it comes to being a professional?
It goes back to, like I always tell people, you know you more than anybody else. You know your capabilities. You know what you bring to the table. And you have to walk in that confidence. You have to stand in that confidence. And you go out there with anything you do, whether it's a job or a marathon, you go out there knowing that you deserve to be in this space. If anybody deserves to have this, it's you. And you step into that knowing that you're the one to do it, and you're going to do it. And you go into it mentally prepared and know that there will be challenges and know that there will be obstacles. Don't go into it thinking that everything is just going to be perfect, that this whole training plan is going to go exactly my way. No, you go into it saying, oh, I know it's going to be a hill. I know this is going to be hard. And then you just prepare your mind for it and be able to step back and reassess and do things differently if you must. But whatever you do, keep going for it. If you want it, you can get it. Just don't let anything stop you from doing it. So that's how I would, bring this full circle with work and then this marathon. And then once you do something like that, like for me, finishing a marathon, you feel like you can do anything. I'm already ready to sign up for the next one, Wade. I may or may not have already joined the lottery for Chicago.
That's okay. That's okay.
So you're really, and it just builds you up as a professional, and it gives you even more confidence. Going into the marathon, I'm like, am I really going to do it? And now that I've finished it, I know I can finish marathons. And now I want to go for another one. So that's how it works in the workplace. You go for the position you want, and you get it. And guess what? Because you got that, you can get promoted. You can be CEO. You can run this thing. There is no limit to what you can do if you believe that you can do it. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is absolutely 100% true. If you believe it and you putting in the work to do it, it's naturally just going to come to you, because hard work always pays off in the end.
Well, one other thing I want to add to preparing for the marathon, but also preparing for life and for the workplace, is over prepare. Like the story she told you about the hill for Quincy, going through obstacles, doing her homework with learning about the marathon, meeting and trying to associate yourself with people who have already done it. That goes in the workplace too. Mm-hmm. The reason she did so well in the marathon is because she prepared. And the reason that she does so well in the professional field is because she's prepared. Don't think that you can just walk into a situation and snap your fingers and it's all going to be fine. This person, this woman, my wife, I know she prepares. She is studying constantly about what the next cool thing is that could help her at her job. And I've said in previous episodes, I'm a student of the game. And for me, the game is getting a job. The game is doing better at life. I try to do something every day that makes me better than I was yesterday. And I can tell you firsthand, Coco is a person who prepares. So a takeaway here to the viewers is, don't just assume it's going to happen. You have to will it to happen. Yeah. Like she said, she feels like she can do anything. The reason that she feels like she can do anything is because she prepares. And then once she goes out and actually crushes the goal, what does that mean? Go prepare for the next one. So, like I said, the takeaway is just stay prepared, stay ready, and you don't have to get ready. And so, having watched Coco go through this, I know that's her mentality. She does that, in the athletics position that she's in. Yes, you are an athlete. And she's a superstar at what she does at her job. And it's because she is a student of the game. So that would be my advice to anybody watching this is you can't just assume. You've got to go study. You've got to know it better than your competition. And your competition is that next candidate that's trying to get the same job you are. How do you set yourself apart? So I will leave you with that nugget. Coco, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
It's pretty awesome to be able to watch you work. I've told you that off camera many times. She's an inspiration to me. She's an inspiration to many. And thank you for all you do. And if you like this episode, if you got anything out of it, like, subscribe. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at the moment. And who knows after this where Coco's going to put us, because she's on everything else too. So whenever all of the links that you can find this show will be in the bio. And we appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in with us. Coco, thanks again for being here with me. And you guys have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to Punching In, Hard Knocks and Highlights. If today's episode gave you some insight or encouragement, share it with a friend who's chasing their next big opportunity. Don't forget to check the show notes for my resume and ways to connect. Until next time, keep fighting, keep learning, and keep punching in.